Okay, so how last?
Good.
It's been a while.
Good. It has been.
Yeah.
It has been. How about you? You feel better?
Rest, and turns out that does the trick.
It does. Rest and fluids.
Yes, yes. We talked our first week about all the hats we wear and all of the ways that we have to a variety of hats that we didn't even think of, like, oh yeah, there's the friend hat. Or insert all the hat names. And then the second week we talked about breathing and trying to breathe and when it's escalated, when we can de-escalate it, and then also when and then third week, I did a recorded video about and that was more of the idea that women have to be flexible all the time, that we have to moment, and that we can't let our guards down. We always have to be on because there's a job to do, and it goes 24/7. Okay, and the list, right? The mental list that goes on and on and on. And then so this would be week 4, and I was going to ask you and Tori if we wanted to extend it to the 5th week, if you wanted to come in person again instead of me sending you the recording for the last one, because of the to do another live session, I'd be happy.
It would be fine with me. I mean,
okay.
Depends on what Tori wants, but
you might be available.
I'm a lot more available now that I am retired. Oh yes, not a problem.
Okay, so we'll just call it for an in-person one. Kind of wraps up the whole series and puts all of the pieces together. At home or kind of business. So
you were talking about breathing.
Yes.
And being careful to because we pelvic floor and things like that.
Sure.
My husband is recovering from COVID pneumonia, and that was a huge thing.
Interesting.
Because to open his lungs up.
Yeah.
Have room for the diaphragm.
Yeah. All in their abdomen when they're breathing, and it's all up here, and so they're getting lots of movement. Yeah, and naturally speaking, there has to be some movement of the belly, but when we breathe, so and more problematic for all the pressure there. It's kind of equalized in a sense where you don't feel like you're overstressing one area or another, so that the pressure is appropriate for your pelvic, and then also that you're moving your diaphragm, giving yourself that exercise. I feel like that juncture where the diaphragm is just, it's such an important one because you've got lots of back muscles that attach right around there that go down towards the pelvis. You've got lots of upper muscles. It's a good junction point, just like our hips are a good junction point. So, yeah, so to bring like visualize and feel more pressure there. So he was expanding more through his lungs, trying to get them to open up a bit more. Yeah. And that's a spot for most people to move into. Yeah. I told when we talk about breathing, how I somehow managed to shut down all the breathing on my right side of my body. And I was breathing a lot into the more that I practice that equal sides, the less my back aches on my right side. The more I'm massaging as still and as rigid all day long. So I know if I have an extra ache, I'm like, maybe I need to work on breathing into my back body a little more. What's wrong or what's going to help? But I do know that you're better off breathing in your rib cage, getting clearing out.
Opening it up all the way.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's well, because that optimal breathing is only upright if you're not scrunched down or leaning to the side or this way. It's a lot of things. So yeah, it's a good therapy. Yeah. Any other breathing questions? That was or thoughts?
No, I mean, those were in my mind.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. As long as we're not focused on one area or another, it's kind of like the adage of everything. Yeah, so just try to equalize it all over. Good breathing questions. So this week's theme is self-efficacy. Led a lot of the conversation, and I've led a lot of the movement. And there's that learning component where you sort of digest. Let's see what's going on here. And then you have that moment where you have to kind of turn it onto yourself and say, I can do this on my own. So it's familiar with the term self-efficacy. Okay, good. It sounds so much fancier than it is, you know. It's such a pretty or something, but it really just means taking it into your own,
Right.
believing.
Being motivated,
Yes, and believing that it's in your hands and that you're fully capable. I get students who say, "Oh, I can never home because I just don't know what I'm doing," and you have to believe that your body is going to say, "I really would like some twists right now," and then you get on your mat and all the certain directions, different ways, and so your body really knows what it needs and wants. It's why we crave dirt sometimes for minerals and vitamins and nutrients, and it's smart, the brain. So since you know a little self-efficacy, besides your first thoughts, what else do you think of when you hear that phrase or that term?
being successful in a career, just being successful. That's how I know it is
Yeah, absolutely.
creating.
Yes. Did you mentor other teachers?
Yeah,
You were excellent.
I was a facilitator, so
Okay.
teachers
Good. Excellent.
encouraging and saying, yes, you can do this, you can do it.
So you were kind of like pushed out of the, out of the nest, and they're supposed to fly on their own. And yeah. And we get that from so many people in our lives, right? It's we have mentor is kind of the overarching word, but your siblings are mentors. In some capacity, sometimes the younger one is, or the older one is, and your friends. There's that the world teaches us little tasks and little duties, and how we attach ourselves to activities, and past we talked about obligations that we put on ourselves, we throws on us, and all of a sudden we become experts at everything as women. And so it's like, I can cook, I can do the job, I can raise the family, I can feed the pets, I can and we don't even realize how to use your word, how fulfilling that should be, that we just do so many tasks on our own. We're left kind of to our own devices to make sure that it all gets done. And sometimes that means, getting hands to help, but that's somebody else. So self-efficacy doesn't necessarily mean that it's all your duty. I know the ability to give away something that can be part of your self-efficacy. We talked about that concept in previous weeks, where if you just knowing, or you're allowing yourself to get rid of that so that you can do something else that's more engaging. Like maybe you had to get up, go and be a facilitator and support those teachers, and you had to give up that knowing somebody else is going to take this role. The kids will be fine, everything will be fine. So you sound like you have a strong self, that totally capable. Do you remember a moment in time where you're like, I don't know that I can do this? Maybe when they first started to ask you, will you facilitate? And you're like, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm a first generation too. My parents went to community college a little bit, but they didn't finish any kind of degrees, and weren't really able. None of my family was able to support me and tell me, this is how you register classes. This is how you, and they try to build programs around now, because they're starting to understand this is something they have no experience in. And no one's at home answering these questions with them. Well, even now, everything's online. I sure could not walk a child through a college education process if I had one going to college right now. So sometimes we just have to pull ourselves up and do it anyway, even if we don't know the path. It's naturally built into people, like they're just born. You see kids out there just doing things that I didn't tell them to do that. Some are born with it. I don't think that I was one of those people that was born with that skill set. They supported me a lot in that capacity. Yes you can talks all the time. But it works. Totally works. So one of the things that works a lot for people, you already mentioned it, but having a mantra or phrase that you turn over in yourself, that kind of gives you that extra encouragement. Yes. So right now in your life, if you're like, I'm having resting or relaxing, or I'm having a struggle with this, or I'm having a struggle with that, you can add a mantra to it. You can add a way of saying to yourself, doing this. This is something that's completely within my realm of doing. And one of the, a phrase that you might say in some of the Eastern philosophies, mantra as the resonation of the sounds and the vibration of the words. The word mantra is Sanskrit, and it has a lot of like tonal quality to it, and we kind of have that as much in English. But so just as much as you can anxious, then you can I am safe. You can sing it, you can hum it, you can repeat it in any way where the vibrational tones kind of resonate within too. I thought we might start with a little meditation that kind of invokes a little bit of a incorporate into your day, your week at. And we can either about it, and I can help you type your you might not be needing anything powerful. You can just say to yourself, like, I'm rocking life, and it could be along those lines. But so did something pop into your mind as I was chatting about the topic?
More like a little engine, like,
Yeah. Just telling yourself you can do it, that is going to encourage you to actually start and follow through with the process. So is your little engine, is it like coasting or hill, or is it, where's your engine in your coasting? Yes, you're like retirement. That's good. I'm glad that your engine's not headed up. I'm like, yeah, yes, I can. Don't give up. I can totally do this.
It's just positive. It's positive.
Yes, and you can always change those difficult moments into a positive aspect. You can laugh about it, the story with a little bit more sympathy for yourself. There's a lot of ways that you can turn that messaging into a positive aspect, and because you ultimately have the power for the suffering. You're either going to sit and dwell in it and be miserable. This is just silly. You can rephrase this. You can reframe your mind around it, and it gets. I love that you're coasting in life right now. Really awesome place to be. So that's how my winters feel. So I'm coming out of that little slumber. So I want to choose what you think you can do it, or yes, you can, or how do you want to phrase it? Okay, all right. So in your mind's eye and in your mind's voice, we're going to in your head for our little meditation. So make yourself cozy in your seat and let your arms rest wherever they're going to body into that place of peace for a moment before we get to the word phrase. You'll allow the breath to start to slow down a little bit. Maybe the exhales lengthen a little bit by bit. And you're noticing the weight of your body. So it softens a little bit more. Your brow, your shoulders, your belly, they're all letting go, softening. And you choose perhaps a whiteboard or a chalkboard or a pen and paper. Find a way to sketch out your phrase across your mind's eye. As you're doodling the words, perhaps it's cursive or it's block letter. It's a beautiful long stroke, or it's individual carving out each letter, each word appears crisp before you. You'll write it over and over again, seamless, endlessly, as if you could express it 1,000 times over. And the board fills, the papers fill. The boldness of each word. It grows with each time you write it out. Its strength, its weight. Now that you have 1,000 or maybe even 1,000,000 written, start to turn over that phrase in your own inner tone. To find that little voice that talks to you. Positive, that you are able, that you're willing, you're strong enough. You're brave enough. And your ableness grows and grows as you repeat. Stepping out that visual phrase as you say itself, as you say it to your heart, as you say it to your mind. They're pressed to paper, as they're pressed to and expressed by that inner voice. Start to let the words form on your lips. As if you were reading a book to yourself and you're 4 or 5 again, you're whispering the mouth, the tongue, the jaw, the lips. Silent passing through from your mind and your heart to the outside world. And some days and silent. And other days when we practice this, we need to have the vocal resonation, the vibrations. So your choice if you want to keep those words a little near and dear, or if you want to start to letting them speak from within. Maybe even allowing that whisper to grow in volume. Even just allowing the face to move. Getting the courage up to face what's before you. Shoulders, neck, the cheeks, the brow. As quiet as you like, but the words turn over and over, building strength. We'll repeat for a few more quiet moments. Perhaps it felt like 1,000 or 1,000,000. Take that phrase, take those words, take that sound, the vibration, the picture in your mind. And tuck it into your heart like you would save a valuable photo. Box. A jewel. It's always there. You can whip it out whenever you need it. And it's there in that safe place for keeping. And start to bring your senses a little bit more out from within. The world around you start showing up a little bit more in your ears, around you. Breathe into it. And whenever you're ready, you'll start to blink the eyes. Oh, it's still here. I know, it's very bright. It's finally spring. That feel being able to sit with it. Studies are done where people that have a lot of self-efficacy, they want to know, where'd you get it from? How do you cultivate it? And these ideas all on their own just occurred to them somewhere in the back of their minds that this works for me, and that
positive stuff. I mean, that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah. Saying those, been here before, I can do this again. New, but I've done something similar, or it's just like that time, and I survived. And it's a struggle bus for some people. So I'm glad that you have so much empowerment behind it. Probably because you taught to bring kids into that space. Yes, when they're feeling like, I can't understand this, or I can't read this, or middle school. Okay. Oh my gosh, those are the most fragile little creatures. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move a little bit, move into some self-efficacy as a practice. So we're going to start. You heard of power posing before? Okay, so power posing is, they did a little research around the positions that people put themselves in. So one of the studies that I learned about was, it was like an office, themselves in an office environment and how capable they feel of the role and the tasks that are given to them. So are more physically open tend to have more empowerment over their, not only their tasks, but their, and whatever's given to them, and also authority over others. So yeah, so having a big proven to give you the power to believe you can do it. Yes, you can. So we're gonna practice a wider stance with your feet, maybe a little bit wider than you normally stand. And your shoulders are gonna be facing forward and at your sides. And this is kind of the basic power pose. And it kind of reminds me of the, did you see that one? Where he goes out into the sun, he has to like power charge and he's like, the solar panels, and he's like, beamed, and he's got all this energy. Big as like a big starfish move. So if you're able to like reach out in whatever direction you can and spread through your fingers and reach out. We'll take a couple of breaths here before we bring our arms down, but just having a stance feels like you're able and ready to accept anything, that you're like a big shield and everything can bounce off of. Yeah, bring those arms down, let them rest and relax for a moment. You see this in people that sit kind of in position. You see this with people with their arms crossed and they're guarded. And sometimes this is just comfort, right? Like, I don't want to have my arms in a position. For those that feel more internally guarded, they'll naturally do this, or they'll naturally come and be small. You know, when they tell you if you run into a bear in the woods, they're like, look big. If you have friends with you, look big together. Mess with that thing. So power pose is one of the ways that I try to invoke that self-efficacy, especially when for when I had jobs that I didn't run my own businesses. I would get into a power pose for like 5 to 10 minutes before I got to the interview, and I would go. Some of the people like, wow, she might be a handful in the office, or whatever I was going for. The power posing does work. Something small and you're starting to feel like, I don't know about this task, just come to that big open space, take a few breaths, feel like you're very little to the world, and know that you're fully capable. You got this. All right, so that's one of the ways. Legs, we're just kind of standing in that one position. And I'm not going to give you any clues, really. Body a little. So you decide, I'm going to do this. What am I going to do? What feels nice? How can I be curious about my body? I already know my body, right? Oh, maybe I can do a little into it. And we're just shifting. There's a million ways that I can offer someone specific ways of moving or cues when they're trying to go for a certain spot. Like, oh, I think, but sometimes your best guide is yourself. To just start moving into it and feeling around, and then saying, oh, this is where my body, maybe this is where I be. All right, we're gonna move into the shoulder, or if you wanna wiggle a little bit too. So you do you with the shoulders. Whatever create movement. Your body naturally gravitates towards. And the sensation arise. You're offering up something very novel for yourself. Start to let the hips go a little bit too. There's no like the offer to play. No one's go into the yard and they look around, something catches their eye, and then they go for it. That's how they end up digging in the sand. That's how they pick a toy or offer a toy or play with somebody. Oh my gosh, eat rocks. Yes, build with sticks, kick around stones. You know, they just naturally do it. I don't know how kids can ever say they're bored. You know, you watch them when you don't think that you're looking, and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, I see they're doing it all on their own. They don't need. See, I don't know why I bought those expensive toys." Right? I know. Give them the boxes. All right, come to a little bit of stillness for a moment and start to move into the head and neck a little. Again, you're doing you, so can you sense a little bit more for your spirit as it's allowed to kind of just whimsically move about? To make your own choices, change what you don't like, exchange. You're allowed to enjoy. Wrists and elbows. Getting all the, think of all the ways that you can articulate in every joint. Amazing. And then how it sort of finds its way somewhere else, like move the hips too. Everything's connected. Can't really else just because you're moving a piece. Getting novel. Nice. So your chair's there for support if you want to grab onto it and do something for the knees. Also do this at a wall if you'd like want open space at home, and then you're like, well, if I'm here, and sometimes coming to like a wall where you have space to just play around is nice too. Swiveled around earlier. I know you can't move one without the other. It's like if I want to bend my knee, I get my hips. Yeah. Say hello to your ankles a little bit, your feet, your toes. Could still move your toes around, your shoes a little, kind of just, and you'll just find a way to knee, hip, and all those kind of lower pieces. Started listening to music in the morning. Dancing my way through my morning activities, and it's like total game changer for mood. Your tone of your day. I don't know if it's like I get up and I drink my coffee and I read my book and your mornings that kind of set your day off right.
Get up, take a shower.
Yeah.
Read for a little bit. There's paper.
Yeah. And just get up. Just, I don't often get to read in the morning, but yeah, this first few moments of just being with something for me, even if it's like 5 or 10 minutes, I tell you, it's like, if I don't do that, then the rest of the day, I'm like, what am I even doing with my life? So it's nice to do. Okay, so find, I won't even give you a body part. I won't even give you a way to move it, but find right now. So whatever that means, if you want to go back to something you did earlier, if you want to try something different, if you want to, too many things to do. Too many suggestions. The idea is that you can lead yourself in movement, connect with your body and bones so that it'll offer you up what it wants and what it needs. You have to kind of let go of the ideals of finishing a task and this, and sometimes you just have to say, okay, I need to let this take its direction and I'm going to ride along with it. Accepting. And then when you mess up royally, grace, lots of grace, lots of grace for the, shoot, oh, darn. Yes. Up, serve yourself, your own yogic meditation movement, your own practice at home. Here is in honor of your body, right? You're moving the way your body wants to move, you're shifting the way it shifts, and you're thinking, oh yes, I like this, I don't, my body's interesting there. And that focus, that attentive interest in yourself, that's part of the fuel of strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing what you can do on your own, what you can't do on your own. So just having the yoga and move this into your own is like, okay, if I can do that, what else can I do? Crush the world, just kidding. Okay, so find your last movements and then we'll come back to our seat. I like my cushion. So how did that feel, being able to move and shift on your own? Reminds you just of dancing or playtime. I think as adults that we feel self-regulated, or someone else is regulating our time, our energy, how it gets played out. And then we get that creativity spark. You know, we forget that we're allowed to just be awesome in our own right. Do you color or do you doodle or?
I color some.
Yeah, yeah.
Doodle. I quilt, and so it's
Ah.
do with thread.
So when you quilt, do you do the pick your own patterns to bind it together? Ah,
Usually, sometimes I don't, but usually I
okay.
do. I'm more comfortable. Actually, if you Google it,
Got it. That's amazing. Does your machine take it on its own? Okay. Or do you sometimes also just freehand it?
often I freehand it, but I can not so much the quilt patterns, but
Uh-huh.
just the stitch patterns.
So how do you feel when you're doing that? Like where in your body when you're like flowing into that quilting pattern?
I feel real relaxed, real.
Time a little bit?
Oh,
Yeah.
dinner? You guys want dinner?
Right? How long have yeah, it's such a gift to turn off and task or an activity like quilting or um, for me, I think running or hiking, my mind all of a sudden is spurred to creativity and I'm thinking in so many different directions and allow myself to go, what's that over there? What's that over there? What's that over there? What's over there? Um, and having that freedom to do that, it helps build that strength to do all. To having those moments, part what these workshops is just coming to this. I need this and I can offer it to myself. I don't need this, I can let go. A lot of inner strength. You have a lot of self-efficacy, which is good. Perhaps it comes with a little bit of living. Yeah, you start to just kind of get used to all these tasks and duties that fall before you. But even in the mundane, efficient they are, and how when other things might be crumbling, you can say to yourself, well, I still have these things. I still have the ability to move, to walk, to get up and down, to even if I can't do these other ones to my fullest, or helping other people. That's another way self-efficacy because it comes from the part of the brain that wants to cooperate for their own safety built into our brains so that we because our brains know we can't survive alone. Yeah, so cooperation is another thing that help has its own rewards. Well, now they're free to go help somebody else, which could help or somebody helps me. Amazing that there's literally a part of our brain dedicated to cooperation. Make Yes, I agree. Helping hand goes a really long way. So mantra, was it yes, you can? Yes, okay. And when you were working on it what felt the most resonating? Was it the writing down a million times?
But that's how I.
Sure, sure. Everyone's different. Everyone's different. You can also take this as a moving meditation arm. You could pretend you can left hand write. You can. I used to be able to write upside down. But when you teach kindergarten, things that you're writing upside down. Yes, or it's a fixing of a letter, or just trying to round it out to be like, let's try it a little more like this. So that resonated the most with you. That's the the most special and secure. Then as we close into our focus on that particular method, we're repeating our mantra over and over. Your mantra doesn't have to stay. It could be something tomorrow, it could be something different later on. A bag of cookies. I know. I just, if I have one, it's over. So I just try not to. Yeah, if it's not. Yes. Okay. So again, and that space where you feel lighter. Your chair is holding you up. You can lean into it. You can sink for. Have to grip anywhere unnecessarily. Soften into your seat. Muscles in your face come. Stillness. Roof of your mouth settles to the floor. Shoulders drift away from your ears. And even though all this is at rest, envision the hand, arm, and find your grip on your medium. Is it a pen, marker? What color is it? How bold is the print? When you you're just scrolling out your phrase, you're beginning with the first letters, forming the first. Perhaps you're writing it over 1,000 times. Single sentence. And going over and over and over it. It's growing in size and weight for your heart and mind. The words seem to stretch and bounce. The words are building energy. Face your challenge. Be it. Becomes easy. To form what you know already. Love. To the world 2 more times. Letting the pace and the rhythm of the phrase be momentous, be slight. And hold up that little note. Encapsulate it into a little space that you can, again, the heart into the mind. Just as you digest food for energy, digest these words for the strength, the courage. All are in this world. And start to come the breath. Find your awareness for not only yourself, but your seat. The air, the walls, this room, space. And you'll blink your eyes open when you're ready. The world I can do. And it doesn't have to be an hour practice the next time you need a little kick in the pants, a little push. And go with it. March along with it as you're doing, as you're going, as your patients to do these days. So
That's okay.
but you probably have some long days. Like last week you're describing that's long work and labor, and you can definitely tell yourself you can do this. In a little while you'll be able to rest and relax. Yeah. All right. Any questions and thoughts? All right. See you next. Try to wrap up all these ideas together into one little neat practice. And then, of course, all the recordings will be there. And I'll probably throw some additional things up there on the. And you'll have it forever. Yeah.